Hey there, it's Ella. Thank you for being here with me. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about why I decided to get my certification to teach yoga. There are many reasons, and there are no reasons, because one of the things that was said during my teacher training was, you don't choose yoga, yoga chooses you. And that is 100% true. Because I have veered away from yoga so many times over the years. I have gone not just months without practicing, but I've gone years without practicing. I have had an extremely irregular practice, and yet I always come back to it. It's one of the few things in my life that I always come back to. There are a handful of things, that I always come back to, and that is one of them. And I have always been naturally a teacher. It's just something that lights me up inside when I can see someone, if I am conveying a concept or introducing something to someone, and I see that light bulb kind of go off, I see their eyes light up because suddenly they get it. Suddenly they have some kind of a realization that they were missing before. And if, I have really just a tiny hand in that, but that's something that just really, really lights me up inside. It brings me so much joy. And so, I thought, well, plus, I've been to a lot of yoga classes with teachers of varying degrees of effectiveness. I'll say it like that. That's an extremely diplomatic way of stating it. But, one of the things that has always frustrated me about going to yoga classes is, especially vinyasa flow classes, for example, is that they just go so fast through all of the poses. So it's counter to what comes naturally to me. So what comes naturally to me is actually, as it turns out, a more traditional way of practicing yoga, which is to spend more time in each pose. And the flow, vinyasa, which is really, vinyasa just means that the pose that you're in connects to the next pose that you go into. That's really the essence of what vinyasa is. And most classes, especially when you go to a studio, or these days when you attend a studio online, the teacher doesn't get paid very much to teach that class. So what they do get paid for is the more students who are in that class. And what especially Americans, seem to like is, I'm not going to do yoga unless I'm sweating and I'm, burning a bunch of calories and I can feel that I've had a real workout. And it's like, well, that's really not what yoga is about. There are different kinds of yoga, like hot yoga and whatever. But the true essence of yoga is not about that at all. And so that's one of the things, so a lot of teachers will end up trying to cram as many poses into a class as possible, because naturally, the more poses that you do in a short amount of time, you're probably going to break a sweat. You're probably going to feel like, oh yeah, I really did get a workout with that. And so it keeps people coming back. And so that's kind of part of the whole racket of, being with a studio and trying to get as many people into classes as possible, that sort of thing. That is completely counter to who I am just as an individual, but who I am as a teacher as well. So I tend to create my flows, my vinyasa, where it is, you know, you may only do a handful of poses, but we spend a lot of time in each pose, so you feel the burn in your muscles. But also, what's more important is that you're giving yourself time to truly be properly aligned in that pose. So I am all about alignment. I want you to feel strong and confident in yoga. And to do that, you must have proper alignment. And I see Instagram famous yoga teachers who have terrible, awful alignment. And it makes me cringe, because it's like, not only are you injuring your own body with the way that you're practicing and the way that you are videoing and photographing yourself, but you are also injuring other people, and that I just have problems with that. So I focus on alignment because I have a lot of injuries in my body, and you know, I am someone who could really hurt myself from doing yoga, and I have before, because I didn't understand what the alignment was supposed to be. So that's something I focus on, is I like to focus on spending more time in a pose, but you really feel the extent, you know, of that pose. So that's just part of my little personal philosophy. I have made some notes here, so I'm just referring to my notes to make sure I don't miss anything or leave something out. So another thing that I feel very strongly about is making a pose work for the yogi. So there's a whole movement, you can check it out, hashtag accessible yoga. But yeah, you can check out that hashtag accessible yoga, and there's a huge movement for accessible yoga. If you are not the picture of, I'm trying to say this as diplomatically as possible, if you're not like a slender person who, like, you know, and like average social media would look at that person and say, oh yeah, that's a yoga body. You know what I mean? Like, we all know, like, you know what I'm talking about, okay? I don't have a body like that. My body has never been, and will never be like that. And you know what? That's okay. Because I have a yoga body, and guess what? So do you. Even if you don't think you have a yoga body, you do. Because there are so many ways to make a pose work for your body, so that you actually can feel the benefit and reap the benefit of that pose without putting unnecessary and undue pressure on your body that's going to cause harm or cause pain. Okay, so I feel really strongly about that, and it's something that's really exciting to me. Yeah, that was one of the things in my teacher training. I mean, I was easily the fattest person in my yoga teacher training. Okay, I mean, it's just a fact. I was the biggest person there, and I never felt anything but 100% supported in my teacher training, because the teachers and everyone in the class were just so supportive and encouraging. And I have been in other environments in the practice of yoga where that has not been the case. So that's something that I feel very strongly about promoting in my own teaching. That I don't care how, you know, I don't care how fat you are. I don't care if, you know, what limitations you have, real or perceived. And, you know, what I do care about is how can we work with that to make sure that you are feeling great in every pose that you do. So, yeah, that's something that I find that's really exciting to me, and that brings a sense of joy, is if I can give someone an adjustment that that just, it alleviates pain, alleviates pressure, and or allows that person to suddenly feel, oh, that's what it's supposed to feel like. You know, that little eureka moment. That's just extremely powerful and empowering, honestly. So what else? I'm looking at my, okay. So the last thing I'll say is kind of more on the whole body size and shape issue. So while there is a wonderful movement for accessible yoga, and also yoga, like every body is a yoga body, there's still quite a bit of shaming out there. And a lot of it, honestly, I think comes down to self-shaming of like, well, I can't do that because my body's not built for that, or my body's not cut out for that. Something that just hit me and flooded me over and over and over again in my yoga teacher training was looking around the room. There were many different shapes and sizes of bodies. Mine happened to be the biggest. Interestingly, I mean, my body is actually extremely strong as well. But one of the things I noticed, and it just sort of overwhelmed me and kind of flooded me to my core, is that every body is beautiful. Every body is beautiful. And when you're in a yoga practice, beauty, as far as aesthetic beauty, does not matter. It genuinely doesn't matter. What does matter is alignment and how you are approaching every pose that you're going into and how you feel in the pose. That's what matters. Aesthetically, aesthetic beauty doesn't matter. So, but it's such an interesting paradox, because to me, once I realized that, I feel the tears coming up. Once I realized that, it hit me that every body is beautiful. What makes your body beautiful is that it belongs to you. That is what makes your body beautiful, is because it is yours and yours alone. And yoga, just the essence of it is that it brings you back home to yourself, to your true self, not only in your body, but yourself, your soul, whatever you want to call it. So that's my aim as a teacher. I am certainly not an expert, but I have a wonderful support system of other teachers who can help provide guidance where I am lacking information. And you know, anyway, I just love working with people, and I love teaching. I love it so much, and I learn every single day. Every single day that I do yoga, I learn. So I hope that you'll join me sometime in a class, and I guess, yeah, I think that's about it. So just as a note, I wasn't going to say anything about this, but I might as well. This is probably the last time I will be recording in this exact setting, because I am finally moving into my own space here in Austin, and it is a gorgeous house, and I cannot wait. And I'm going to have a whole setup so that I can actually record sequences and, you know, do all kinds of stuff. So I'm super excited, but this exact setup will be no longer available. So anyway, so join me in the future, in the very near future. I will be moving, so I'll probably be quiet for a couple weeks, but once I'm, you know, all settled in and everything, it is go time. So thank you so much for being here with me, and I will see you again soon.